Hey guys, what's up? It's Darkmech here, and I'm back in Bloodmaul Slag mines today with the last guide for the updated 6.2 challenge modes with the new strats, the grounding reflex, and everything else that we've learnt. So the most important thing in Bloodmaul guides for your DK tank is to make sure that they have Dark Sim glyphed. If you don't, make sure you do it. Will pretty much carry your team to gold. So what we're going to do, guys, straight off the bat, we're going to pull the 2 enforcers, the 2 slavers, and the 1 overseer. So that's the 2 at the front and the 3 that pat on the bridge. Now, straight away you can see these crush dodge attacks in the middle of my screen. The enforcers will cast a thing called crush. It's a large circle that comes up on the ground with all the dust, and you don't want to be standing in it. If you stand in it, you will perish. The overseers, they cast a thing called subjugate. It'll stun someone for 10 seconds. You want to make sure that you're interrupting or stunning it. They'll also put a suppression field on the ground, which is a purple cloudy thing that will silence you if you're in it. The slavers, they will cast Slavers in Rage on themselves, or Slavers Rage. You need to dispel it like any normal in Rage with Shivs, Trank, Soothes. If they do build up, they will cause you a lot of problems. So going around down this corridor, we're going to pull the 3 slavers and this 1 enforcer together. Now you can see the enforcer with the crush again, so just make sure you're moving out of that. And the slavers rages, you just need to make sure that you are dispelling that rage off them. With 3 of them hitting you, if all of them get enraged, you will get some serious damage pumped out onto your tank. I'm actually running Chillblains in here just for the fact that it's a carry, so we're a little bit lighter on DPS, and this just allows me to kite away if I have to, and it's just a lot safer option in here. Now, once they're down, we're going on to this next pack of 3, and the Geomancer, you want to grip the Geomancer out. Now, if you don't have a grip, if you're not running a DK, that pole to the left of me there, taunt and run and use that pole to line of sight the Geomancer up. Reason being is you want to fight them up here as there's a padding mob. If you fight them down there, you're going to get the pat as well. Now about the Geomancer, guys, the Geomancer cast a buff called Stone Bulwark, can be dispelled or interrupted. Again, you just need to watch out for the suppression fields and the subjugate cast, and that enforcer with that crush you can see going off there. There's that dust on the ground I was talking about. You just need to make sure that you're moving out of it. You shouldn't have too many issues though on this pack whatsoever. As I said though, make sure you're fighting them up here and not down there. If you pull the pat, you're just going to cause yourself more grief, and you're going to waste time, and we just don't need to kill them. We don't need them for mob count or anything like that. So once we get this enforcer down, guys, we're going on to the next pad around the corner here, which is a water and 2 Bloodmaul Ogre Mages. Now, the Ogre Mages cast Lava Burst. It's pretty massive damage. You want to interrupt them. You want to Dark Sim them. You want to Spell Reflect them. You want to make sure you're using your AMS if you're going to eat one to the face, guys, or a Diffuse Magic or some decent cooldown. The water is going to cast a fear, so make sure you've got somebody interrupting that. Those mages will also cast a damage buff on enemies to do 30% extra damage as well. So just watch out for that, as that pack can hit quite hard. Once they're down, we're pulling the last 2 mobs before the boss, which are 2 waters. Again, you just have to watch the fears. So we just have somebody assigned to one of them. They're not marked. So it's a little bit unorganized, but generally we just put a skull on one, 2 people get the skull and 2 people get the unmarked. As long as the fears aren't getting off, guys, though, you will be fine. If a fear does get off on these 2, realistically you still should be fine. It's a lot worse if a fear gets off on the previous pack, because you'll end up taking fireballs to the face and you'll most likely perish. So once the waters are down, guys, we're on to the first boss, Slave Watcher Crush Toe. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to pre-pot, we're going to hero, everyone's going to go big dick. Now the Slave Watcher will cast a thing called Earth Crush, which you can see there. He'll raise a pillar out of the ground and punt it in a straight line in front of him. If you get hit, you get stunned, so it's pretty easy to dodge and you shouldn't be being hit by that. He'll do a thing called Crushing Leap. He'll target a random player, and he'll just jump to that person. He'll root them in place for 8 seconds, and it'll also cause the ads to target that person or focus them. Brewmasters, you can stick an ox statue down on the ground and the miners will all go straight to it, so it's a nice easy way to just completely ignore them. Otherwise, just have whoever the ad's on get in close and just cleave them down. We'll also cast a thing called Ferocious Yell, which is this fear. You just want to be making sure you're running over to that and interrupting it. And generally, I'm just getting those interrupts as Mix doesn't have kick on his bars and Ket is hopeless. So once Slaver is down, what we are going to do is we're going to go and die and reset our hero. I'm running Purgatory, so I am not resetting my hero, but you can see Mix going off to the right down that tunnel to die to those ads. So is Ginger, and Keta is running up to the bridge here to go for a swim in the lava to die. Resetting hero, guys, it's a fairly decent advantage in here, and because you res pretty much straight at the bridge and you can run straight back down to here, it's well worth doing. So if you are struggling for time-wise, this is worth doing. I actually have started running Lichborn now for something different, so I am actually dying now. But if you've got Purgatory, I don't think it's worth wasting Purgatory for the sections that are coming up to reset your hero debuff. But each to your own, do what you feel works with your group. So we've died, we're all back, we've reset hero, we've got food buff. Now, guys, we are going to pull the 3 in front of us here, which is an Overseer, a Geomancer, and a Slaver. So again, watching out for that Slaver's Rage, watching out for the Enforcer's Crush there. We're going to pull these next 2 as well that are coming up here, the 2 Enforcers. So again, now we've got more Crushes to deal with. You just want to make sure you're looking out with this Slaver. Because there's only one Slaver in this, it's not too bad in regards to the dispels. You still want to get them, but because there's only one, the damage isn't too bad. Once they're nearly down, we're going to start pulling these other Slavers. I probably should have pulled this one in a little sooner, but there's also another sort of string of them to pull as well. And again, this is where you do need to start watching the Slavers in Rages. So get these 2 Enforcers down, and then I'm going to go and collect the rest of the Slavers. So they're down now, so now I'm grabbing this other Slaver. So now we've got 2 Slavers, so you can see that Slaver's Rage again. Now here's the 3rd one. You don't have to worry about any of these mobs coming out of the Gauntlet, guys. Just keep running past them, and we're killing them on the way down. And I'm going to grab these next 2 Slavers. And I'm also, for shits and giggles, going to grab the Overseer down here as well. So we've got 4 Slavers up and the Overseer. So again, this is where your Dispel does really play a large part into this, as you can really get owned with this. So make sure you've got your stuns going out. You can see our cap totems. Make sure you're watching out on the Overseer with the Subjugate casts. Get your interrupts. Make sure you're soothing or shiving or tranking or whatever you need to do. You can see the damage really does sort of start to ramp up a little bit there as we're kind of getting them off. And that is it, guys. Now, we're not going any further down there. Make sure you pull the Overseer. Don't go too far down that you activate the Magma Worm. I think it's called Slagma. But just make sure you pull that Overseer back up to here. Now, we used to invis this part with the Gauntlet, but we actually do it now. We end up death running everything. We don't use invis pots in challenge modes anymore. So what you want to do, guys, is have your tank go first. Just be blood boiling down here so you've got the ads training onto you. And our number 1 focus here is the Magma Lord. Now you want to make sure that you are dark simming the Magma Lord. The fireball he'll cast will reflect for about 80k, so it's well worth reflecting it. Those cinder splashes are those large sort of fire pillars coming out of the ground. You need to make sure that you're not standing in them, so use your AMS. Make sure you're pretty liberal with your cooldowns here, as there will be quite a bit of damage. You don't want to waste army on here though, so be liberal with your cooldowns. Make sure all your DPS is smashing that Magma Lord. Your grounding totems, make sure that you're making the most of them. And you're dark simming that fireball, and that's about it, guys. For the rest, make sure you're interrupting the rest of the fireballs, obviously, and just get them down. Now there'll be 2 little embers that we've just pulled off to the right there. Make sure you get them before you start going around here, otherwise you'll get combat potted, because they will pull. So clean them up. Then what we're going to do is we're going to pre-pop, we're going to pop army, and we're going to go into this pool. Now this next pool can go a little bit pear-shaped if you fuck it up. Now it's got a water in it, so you've got a fear to worry about. You've got a mage, which casts the lava burst and the enrage. Again, you really want to try and dark sim the lava burst if you can. It hits for 322k or thereabouts, so it's huge damage for free. The Molten Earth Elemental is a frontal cleave attack, so just watch that. And the Bloodmaul Magma Binder, which is a new one in here. These guys cast the lava burst, which I just spoke about, and a thing called Molten Binding, which reduces casting and attack speed by 70%. So just make sure that you are dark simming the lava burst in here, as it does a shit ton of damage. So once they're down, just clean up the remaining embers and ads that you've got coming around. And then we are going on to the second boss. Now this second boss is a 2-phase fight. So first off, we're going to have to kill Forge Master, what's his name, Gogta. Now we're just waiting on our pre-pots here. Again, guys, I've harped on about pre-pots all the time. Make sure that you are making the most of them. Even if you have to wait 5 seconds, it's well worth waiting for pre-pot. So as I said, 2-phase fight. We're starting off on Forge Master, and he is going to summon this Magma Barrage here. What you need to do is you need to cast Dark Sim on the Magma Barrage, and you can see those little circles on the ground where the fire is going to land. You need to make sure one of your DPS or your healer runs and stands in them, and then you want to put that onto the boss. Again, it does a shitload of damage. It goes anywhere, ticks from anywhere from 50 to 115k, so well worth getting. Now he's going to summon 2 adds. Runation does the Rough Smash, which is the frontal cone. He also summons Calamity, which is the fire elemental. Calamity does a thing called Firestorm, and you need to make sure that you save an interrupt for that, but otherwise just cleave off the boss and get them down. They shouldn't give you any problems. Once they're all dead, you will get Magma Lord, the boss from the furnace, will engage. Now Magma Lord, he shouldn't give you any problems. He'll cast an ability called Slag Smash, which is right there. It's that big 360 cone attack, which is, I don't know why I just said 360 cone. That does not make any fucking sense. It's a big 360 smash, and you don't want to be standing in it. Again, you want to be dark simming off the adds here. So we'll do this Molten Binding, or Molten Impact, sorry, which is him summoning an ad. You want to put Dark Sim on the ad, and you can see those little fire circles on the ground where the Molten Barrage is going to land. You need someone to go and stand in that so you can put the Reflect onto the boss, and again, it does a shitload of ticking damage and is well worth getting. So you shouldn't have any issues on that boss whatsoever, guys. So again, we heroed on that boss as well. So remember, we heroed on the first boss. We died to reset. We've then heroed on that boss. Now we're going to run down, and we're going to do the death run, and we're going to skip the slag worm in the last pack before the bridge, which means that we will once again reset hero. So guys, the death run, look, as long as you've got a battle res, so warlocks with soul stones, druids with your battle res is obviously DKs, shamans with Ankh, sorry, I'm getting a bit tongue-tied. You need to get down here, and what we're going to do is, you can see there's Slagma, and here is the last pack. This is the pack that we're skipping. The pack's not too bad, but it just works out in the strat that we're skipping it. You want to get to the middle of the bridge here, and you want to make sure you're in about the middle, and then you want to die. Now, the trickiest part is getting someone to actually fucking die when they're supposed to. So we're just talking about who I was going to res here. I was going to wait for Ginger originally. Ginger has got mix-up, so I was going to get Ginger. Purgatory has become active though, so now I'm just going to get the carry. So just make sure that you get 1 or 2 reses off. You want them to reset. You're going to take the res, and then you're going to start resing everybody. Now obviously just make sure you don't back up too far on the bridge. Again, reason for this, we've reset hero again, and we've got our DPS pots rather than having that 10-minute lockout from invis pots. Pots are huge in the challenge modes, guys. They can make a huge difference, and if you've got the coordination to do these death runs, it is a huge time saver. Even though you might think it's a lot of time spent resing or whatnot, it is certainly worth doing. So we're gonna get well fed again. We've got heaps and heaps of time. I think the gold timer in here is actually like 22 minutes or something, so we've got loads of time. So make sure you're getting well fed, your food buffs. I've just noticed my flask is actually run out. I'm pretty sure I don't bother putting another one on for this because I obviously didn't know, and I've just realized now that I'm doing this whole thing without a flask. I don't even know when it ran out. So then we're on to the third boss, Roltail. Now, his main ability is the fiery boulders that he'll cast. He'll cast 3 fiery boulders. Here they are now. They come down from the sky. They will land on different sections of the bridge. They roll down and they roll back up. So you just need to take notice of pretty much where the first one lands. And after the first one has come through, you'll be right to stand there because not one is going to path over that same spot again. But just make sure that you're in a safe spot. Now, DKs, if you get hairy, which I just did then, AMS will save your life. So make the most of that. Monk's Transcendence is awesome on here as well. You can also have your healer switch to DPS for this fight as well. There isn't a huge demand for healing. After the fiery boulders, he'll do a thing called, oh god, I can't remember what it's called now, sorry, Heat Wave. He'll do a thing called Heat Wave where he'll push everybody back down the bridge, and that's what you've got to contend with when you are running from the boulders when they're coming back up. But just make sure that you're in a decent path and you should be fine. For healers and range, standing on the front half of the bridge certainly makes your life easier too. Don't go standing at the back part. It also makes the issue of if you end up pulling the mobs that we've skipped. Now there's this padding Ogron in the hallway here, and we're going to run around the back of him here. We're not going to pull him. We don't need him for mob count, and it is a complete waste of time killing him. So just run around the side here, and we're going to wait for him to pat all the way back. And then we're going to go now. There's going to be 2 more Ogron down the bottom of these stairs that we're about to go to now. And what we're going to do is we're going to have Mix play the Sacrificial Lamb. So Mix is going to pull them both, and he's going to head off to the right, and we're going to run through them and go to the left. Now, if you've got a hunter, they can run to the side, feign death, and either disengage over that gap, or they can run through deterrence and then feign death. Either way, you just need to have somebody pull these, run off to the side. You can see where Mix has gone over there to the right. He's going to last for as long as he can, then he's going to die. We're going to move into the left here. We're hexing this ad, and we're going to leave that Flame Speaker hex, guys, and that's going to come into the Mix during the last boss. So make sure you leave that one hexed. You can run over here in the middle without pulling any aggro, no worries. So we're going to get a res on Mix. Mix is going to get food buff. We're going to buff him up. Again, as I said, plenty of time. So what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to pull, there's 3 flame speakers in front of us that you can see, and the big thing they do is they cast channel flames. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull these 3 flame speakers. I'm going to dark sim the channel flame cast, and then I'm going to pull the boss. Now, you certainly do not have to do it this way. You can kill the 3 flame speakers, and then you can kill the boss. If you do it that way, just make sure that you are taking a dark sim from these guys at the end to start with on the boss. The channel flames is absolutely fucking ridiculous. As you can see at the start there, I got 10 hits at 571k off the first channel flame on the boss, and it just keeps ticking, so it is insane damage. Make sure you're using your grounding totems. You won't have any problems cleaning up the flame speakers. Just cleave off them. Stuns work on them as well, guys, so make sure that you're rotating them out, but the dark sim is the most important one. Now you can see my dark sim's back up, so I'm going and pulling our hexdad. I'm putting a dark sim as soon as the channel flame comes up again, and I'm putting it back onto the boss now. Gugrock, the last boss, he'll cast a Molten Blast. You just need to interrupt him and move him out of the fire on the ground. He'll also cast a thing called Flame Buffet on all players, which increases the amount of fire damage that you take. You can dispel it, and he'll cast those Magma Eruption pools on the floor, which are just pools of fire and you don't want to stand in. He did summon an ad, which you see there, but we just ignore the ad because as soon as he dies, the ad despawns. And that is pretty much it, guys. That ad also can be stunned as fixed, so make sure you use the most of that. We actually cap totemed it. So that is it, guys. That is the updated guide to Bloodmaul Slag Mines for gold. Hopefully I've covered everything off. Hopefully that's helped you out or given you a few tips to get your own golds. Thank you very, very much again for all the support and checking out the videos, guys. I really do appreciate it. And until next time, I'll catch you then. See ya.